A ballerina's perspective, from performing with New York City Ballet and Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater to publishing poetry books and mentoring kids and teens. Join us in a weekly discussion with experts to gain mental health clarity and achieve growth and moral consciousness. Give our show a 5 stars, comment, share, and come along for the ride. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today we have a special guest, Sophie Lucido Johnson, who is an award-winning cartoonist and writer in Chicago. She is a cartoonist for The New Yorker and has been published in The New York Times, The Guardian, and elsewhere. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing more of your art with the world.
Thanks for having me.
What inspired you to begin expressing yourself through this form of cartoon art? Such an interesting, authentic, unique way to express yourself.
Today is actually the publication of my book is coming out today, so
Oh,
I'm shifting gears a little because it's not a cartoon book, but I'm so happy to talk about cartoons. I started drawing. I was a teacher in New Orleans for 10 years. I was teaching special education, and I had a lot of students who had trouble accessing the material verbally. So I thought visual cues were really helpful, and I like drawing. It's a joy to get to do it. So I started drawing, and at some point I moved to Chicago to pursue my master's at the Art Institute and learned more about drawing. And while I was there, I thought, oh, my dream job would be to be a New Yorker cartoonist. So I decided to really pursue that for a while, and here we are.
if you're ready to shake off that daily stress, come join us for online beginner, adult, ballet, and yoga classes each week to connect with the flow of movement and the art of ballet into perfect synergy. Come as you are and learn to love your body a little bit more and gain strength and flexibility with each class. All are welcome. Sign up at balletartsmovement@gmail.com. First class free. Unlock your best life with Soul app. Book a holistic wellness experience with a trained guide and start changing your life today with compassion practices, inner healing, food and diet, and so much more. Tap into a healthier and happier life with the #1 purposeful living app in the US, the Soul app, link in the description of the podcast. Amazing, what an interesting journey. And speaking about your new book, you are the author of Kin, the Future of Family, which speaks directly to anyone seeking deeper human connection in their everyday life. I think this is such a universal theme. We are moving more into the spiritual aspects of connection. My podcast is all about spirituality and connecting to each other based on energy or a common goal. I think we are totally shifting through the idea of what it is to be a kin. I remember learning in school, we had projects, we had to define what is kin, we had to do a puzzle, connect the dots to our family tree. And I think now we're expanding beyond the definition of kin being like a kinship is more like a soul reunion or a soul reconnection. So can you tell us a little bit about your book and how you are redefining or expanding about kin?
Yeah. So the book is about this concept of people who are sort of in your life who are not your partner or your family, but are closer than your friends. So maybe someone who would pick you up from the airport without being asked, or, whoever you invite over to your house, and you don't mind if your house is really messy when they come over, you don't have to apologize. So building connections with these types of people. Sociology is just now starting to pursue science around friendship. It's sort of a new field. And so we're just now learning how absolutely integral friendship is, and kinships are for people. So I wanted to create a book that would give people some practical steps to building kinship circles outside their immediate family. And I also wanted to invite ease in places in life where we're spread a little too thin, and how can we connect with each other and lean on each other a little bit more deeply.
And I think that's such an important part of growing up into adulthood is to reevaluate who our friendships are, right? Like why we're friends with certain people, because oftentimes when we are friends as children, we evolve past that level of identity of who we were or who people projected us to be. So I think learning about our identity as adults totally helps us to reshape how we accept friendships and how we build friendships.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you feel like you have some really close friendships in your life that are really important to you?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I had to make the decision to acknowledge my past friendships that weren't fully aligned to my current self, who I became. I think when we're becoming adults and we change and we naturally evolve into who we're supposed to be by learning through our past traumas or even our past behavioral patterns. We want to grow and become better people, and we have to be consciously aware of who we're becoming and who we're aligning ourselves to. Like, do you have any experiences like that as well that you had to go through? Podpitch is the first and only software that finds, writes, and sends pitches to podcast hosts from your actual email address. Podpitch will make sure you get podcast bookings, guaranteed. Link in the description of the podcast. Sanger Daniel's online seminar promoting a positive message of self-healing with bioenergy work together with live seminars and remote coaching. Use code BIO20 for a 20% discount for our audience. Link in the description of the podcast.
Yeah, the book has a chapter about when relationships and friendships ending is really hard. And also, there's not a lot of resources for what to do when you feel like a friendship is ending, and, or like maybe you just need to move on, or someone else needs to move on from you, which is really painful, also. Um, one of the statistics that I found in my research that was interesting is that every 7 years, half of your closest friends turn over, which means like whoever you're best friends with right now, in 7 years, about half of those people will no longer be your closest friends, and you'll have other close friends. And if you look back 7 years ago, you'll see about half of the people who you were close with then are no longer people you're as close with. I think we have a tendency to think of that as a failure, but it's actually just normal. It's life, and a relationship ending isn't a failure. It's just the end of a relationship.
100%. And the realization is also like when we do feel rejected or abandoned or isolated, I think it goes into a whole host of other possibilities we can tune into. We can feel bad for ourselves and pity ourselves, or we can reach out and understand that we can have new friendships. I think that's also like a shock to the system where people are like, I have to make new friends as an adult. So like how would people go about doing that to start this new kin or to start this new community or build up a new friendship?
Yeah, it is hard to make friends as an adult. I mean, there's a lot of different moments in life where we tend to make new friends. So one of them, of course, is if you go to college. That's a really big one where, it's a very unique, sort of once in a lifetime experience where you're around people who are your age, who have the same relative interests as you have, and you're able to spend a lot of time with them. Nothing contributes to a close friendship more than time. So having time is really important. And then we go off into the world. A lot of times we move away from where we went to college, and it's harder. It's especially hard for men, and it's harder for everyone. When you have kids, you tend to then make a whole lot of new friends really fast because you're like, oh my god, what do I do? I need people who also have kids. But we also see friendships fade in that part of life because if you're a person who doesn't have children and your friend has a child, there's going to be a big change in both of your lifestyles, and both people end up feeling really hurt. So, I'd say as you move through life changes, being cognizant of what your friends are going through. It's really easy to know what you're going through, but what your friends are going through, and thinking about ways that you can sacrifice and show up for the people that you love. If you're looking to make friends and you don't have any, I always recommend starting with your neighborhood, even if you live in a condo or an apartment building, to like leave cookies outside someone's door, leave your phone number. Proximity is incredibly important in friendship development. So you live in proximity to people now, and there's something you have in common. You're both invested in the place where you live. So I would start in a neighborhood. And if that isn't going to work, we can use technology as a tool to connect us with people um, who are aligned with us in terms of our values or interests. You can, find people on Facebook groups or Meetup or whatever. But once you do find your people, to be really intentional about nurturing those relationships and not taking them for granted.
100%. I remember I started doing more ballroom classes. I grew up dancing ballet and ballroom, and then as an adult, I continued to do ballet, but not so much ballroom. And I wanted to kind of get back into it, so I started taking local classes, and I just made so many friends on day one. It's
Right.
so interesting how just like literally doing what you like to do will I think will help you connect to people as well. It's like hobbies or talent that you had as a child and maybe you want to redevelop or recommit yourself to. I think it
Mm-hmm.
also takes courage, but it's super fun to see how things can evolve as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
How has your own community changed since writing Kin, if it has?
Um, let's see. Well, I started writing it started thinking about it right at the end of the height of the pandemic. I was living with we had roommates. We were living with my closest friend from work and her husband, and we, while acknowledging that the pandemic is the worst thing that has happened in my immediate lifetime, or it was also a really nice time because I had these people I was living with, and our lives were a lot easier because we had each other and weren't just two people, or um, you know, two people and kids, or one person and kids. And we all, I got pregnant and my roommate got pregnant during the pandemic, and we got to be pregnant together. That was really special. And as I was navigating that, was thinking like, I'm learning a lot of things about what makes life easier, and it's other people. And I think we should talk about doing a book about this, because it would be great to share some of these connections with other people.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I love that idea of a kinship being like something that you consciously see in alignment or some kind of synchronicity with, and you're choosing to bond, whether it's like a brotherhood or sisterhood, some kind of connection or collaboration. I think is such a beautiful message. And this is what brings more peace and unity when we focus on that and we are able to just be open and honest and connect like that. I think it's so wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. One of the most important things when you're building relationships is to be able to sort of get messy and have conflict, and see people in moments when they're not their best. And that is, it's something that I feel like, oh, I'm resistant. I don't want to go towards something that's uncomfortable, but the discomfort is sort of where the kinship grows. And so feels really important to move toward that feeling.
ClickFunnels easily build any type of online business and sales funnel in record time, no matter what your product, service, or niche, without any tech design or experience whatsoever. Try the ClickFunnels 14-day free trial, link in the description of the podcast. TeloVital supports focus, energy, immunity, sleep, recovery, and resilience. Start feeling better today on a cellular level with zeolite, super green juice, micronutrient gut support, and more. Get over 50% off your first order for Tello Vital. Link in the description of the podcast. I 100% agree. I think that's where a lot of my friendships had to end in the past, where there was a fear of being messy or of showing vulnerability to the point where it's not a real friendship then because you're not truly present and you're not truly in it to build a bond or to deepen a bond. Without any sense of intimacy, you can't go further. And I think oftentimes we're afraid of our own shadow, we're afraid of our own wounds, and that prevents us from getting deeper into our own psyche, and it prevents us also from getting deeper into friendships.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I think you're right on the money with that.
And speaking about asking for help, like we talked about being messy, what's some advice for overcoming that fear of feeling like a burden and feeling like you are too messy to be included or, invited into friendship?
Yeah, I mean, I think asking for help is super hard. And the reason it's so hard is because we aren't socialized to be able to say no really at all. I mean, I understand the concept of boundaries is quite popular right now, but they're very difficult for people in practice. And especially in sort of Western female friendships in particular, you only ask for help when you really, really, really need it, like you're up against a wall. And that means that you can't say no if someone asks for help. So we're in this bind where you don't want to ask because if you ask, the person is going to say yes, even if they don't have the capacity. And we don't want to say no, even when we don't have the capacity. So it's a real kind of dishonest way of existing. We're kind of tiptoeing around each other. So, an exercise I recommend is to, like, first of all, you're not going to have this relationship with everyone in your life. So, think really critically and carefully about the people who you want to have in relationship with you, and then practice asking for help and practice saying no in times when the stakes are really low. Like I, with my friend Kat, we literally just sit across from each other and ask each other for help with the intention of hearing no. Like, I'm going to ask you to help me shovel my sidewalk, and I want you to say no, and we just go back and forth, just trying to like exercise the muscle a little bit.
I love that. Yes, exactly. And I think there's a lot about multi-generational healing that it's hard for people to connect to their, parents or grandparents if they're
Yes.
lucky to have them now. And I think there is something so beautiful if you are able to kind of get over the hump of, not feeling fully validated, but still having the courage to want to connect and to kind of lend a hand out there and see if you can even connect. Because sometimes there's so much healing there, but it does take a sense of courage and intention to just want to connect. And obviously, it's beautiful if both parties can somehow find a medium ground. And I think that just also deepens your own understanding of your lineage and maybe makes you understand yourself better about your your family and your own patterns. So it's a very interesting and deep journey for sure.
Yeah, it is. I In the book I also write about caretaking elders, and that's another area. You're talking about lineage. Like, that's another area where we struggle, especially in Western society, with multi-generational, cross-generational relationships, especially as people move towards end of life. That is a time when we create distance with each other. And, I think because we're afraid of death, we want to push away from it. But caretaking is, a lifelong journey. We belong to each other, and it's important to be able to connect across all the times of our lives. When you have a kid, it's a little easier because it's like, oh, this person is growing and they have a whole life ahead of them. When you have an elderly friend or kin, it can be feel more tricky and hard, but just as important for us to have peace and joy and connection at the end of our lives as at the beginning.
That's
I'm excited. The book comes out today. I'm excited to get to have some conversations with people about boundaries and kinship, and it's been really fun to learn about the different ways that people are building family. It's really happening all over the world. People are finding ways to There's a lot of ways to choose family, and I see people moving in that direction more and more. It's really encouraging to me. I mostly just think we shouldn't have to be suffering quite so much as we are. And like the answer is in finding each other here.
A beautiful message. And what are your few tips for how to be a better friend in today's modern age?
Mm, I think that relationship thrives with radical honesty, and I don't think everyone has necessarily earned your complete truth until you spend a lot of time with them. But radical honesty is when you're experiencing a situation and you share something, that you share whatever it is that you're noticing, which could be a feeling, an observation, or a judgment, and you sort of identify which of those things you're experiencing, noticing, and you say, like, I notice I'm feeling really anxious about this walk that we're about to go on, because I'm worried about the conversation we're going to have. Or like, I notice that I'm not paying as close attention as I'd like to because the leaves are really pretty and I'm getting distracted. um, Practicing radical honesty is really tricky, but if everyone is doing it with integrity, I think it is a nice shortcut to depth and intimacy.
100%. That's a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Sophie, for coming on and sharing your story and your work with us. And where can people connect with you and also get your new book?
You can find me on Instagram at Sophie Lucido Johnson, and my new book is everywhere. It's called Kin: The Future of Family. It's at bookstores all over the world.
Amazing. Congratulations. So exciting.
Thank you so much.